In today's episode of the Pathmark Presents podcast, I have an interesting guest here with me today. I'm with Andre de Castro. He's hailing over as the founder president at Blockchain of Things. And today we want to really deep dive how you can easily build Bitcoin blockchain applications and, who's benefiting from that, who is leveraging the technology, but also how Andre is thinking about growth for the company. So welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Lucas.
Awesome. So give us a 360 overview. What is Blockchain of Things all about?
So Blockchain of Things is a company that releases second layer technology software. And our second layer technology makes it easy for companies to take advantage of the global Bitcoin blockchain in many different aspects, such as supply chain tracking, provenance, for goods, and a whole host of other functionalities such as tokenization. We support fungible and non-fungible tokens, but everything geared towards industrial use. So it's a little bit different than the space where there are projects that release coins or do their own blockchain. We do not have a blockchain. We use the global Bitcoin blockchain.
Gotcha. And you mentioned industrial use. Could you give us a couple of use cases that you see sort of working well with the blockchain of things?
Well, the obvious one that we've had a lot of traction on is supply chain and supply chain management. And the other one that a lot of companies are looking for is implementation of provenance, which means origin of goods and materials.
And would you say that, sort of bringing a product like Blockchain of Things, is that more like a, bottom-up approach where developers, tinker and identify what you guys are doing? Or is it more like a, maybe top-down approach where, I don't know, the C-suite or, operational leaders bring in the product? Like where does the spark typically occur?
Well, that's an interesting question because the space is evolving. And most of the companies we target tend to be in the higher range. So they're in, the Fortune 1000 companies directly. But a lot of the smaller customers that we get come to us generically because they want an easy to use tool to build applications on the Bitcoin blockchain. The sad thing is that a lot of people don't understand that we exist because they don't equate the Bitcoin blockchain with building of applications. They equate it as a value transfer only system for Bitcoin.
That makes a lot of sense. And if you then look at that journey of those folks learning about the blockchain of things, like how would you describe a journey of somebody learning about blockchain of things and then getting started? Or in other words, which channels kind of do you leverage in order to bring that message that you were just describing across?
Yeah, so what we do a lot of is PR type related work, events, podcasts such as this own that we're on, speaking engagements we get involved with, and those types of lead generation building campaigns in general. And through that, we get a lot of exposure. An example of that is we will be 2022 in Miami, which starts April 6th. Then we'll be at Consensus in Austin. So we do a lot of events and we get a lot of exposure through the events.
Gotcha. That makes sense. How do you personally then, think about the website? What role does the website play in their journey? Is that something you find is, crucial in their journey to get to know you guys, or is it a side thing because they're getting information typically on those events?
Yeah, so the website, of course, is always crucial, right? And our website has all of our documentation. You can get access to our APIs. And something that's very unique to our company, because we tend to sell to the enterprise, is that we believe the proof is in the pudding. And because of that, we allow people to create free accounts on our site and play with the product. And it's the full-blown power of the product. The only difference is that it doesn't run on the main Bitcoin blockchain. It runs on a parallel network called testnet that developers use to develop apps. But you can actually go to our website and see that the proof is in the pudding, right? All of the power that we say you can leverage and use and make it really easy to build apps on the Bitcoin blockchain exists, and you could use it today. Anyone in the world can. So it really not only exposes information to our prospects, right? But it allows people to sort of try before you buy.
You mentioned obviously the focus on the blockchain, the Bitcoin blockchain. Just for people who are listening and who are not as familiar on this, could you just give maybe, you know, in a quick summary, like why, if possible, obviously, why the Bitcoin blockchain is interesting for developing apps and why people might overlook that actually quite a bit?
Yeah, so we fit in an interesting space because larger corporations have looked upon what are called distributed ledgers and private blockchains. And the reason why they've looked upon that to first start building applications is because blockchains such as Bitcoin and Ethereum, they're transparent, right? They don't contain permissioning or encryption. And what we've done is we've come in through our second layer technology and added the best of both worlds, right? So we've gotten all of the encryption and permissioning that exists in DLTs and private blockchains. And through our second layer technology, map that to the global Bitcoin blockchain. So now for larger companies, they now see the benefit of the global footprint, the reduced cost, because they don't have to install and maintain a blockchain, right? That's on the larger company side. On the project and small developer and tinkerer side, they're accustomed to believing that you can only build applications on specified blockchains made to build applications, such as Ethereum and Ethereum clones, which are a lot of the blockchains that use the Ethereum virtual machine code, such as Binance or Polygon, and a lot of those. So those guys, they look upon us and say, but wait a minute, you can't build on Bitcoin, right? You're not supposed to. It's really a value chain where you have coins. And we've taken a different approach. We actually eliminate Bitcoin from the Bitcoin blockchain once you're using our layer, and you never get exposed to Bitcoin at all. Makes it very easy, and we have low code tools to allow them to easily drag and drop and start building very, very quickly. So we sort of attack it from two perspectives. And we're showing the world that you don't need to go to secondary and tertiary blockchains. The father of all cryptocurrency and blockchains is Bitcoin, and you could do everything on Bitcoin.
Seems like such an interesting educational challenge also to bring people to that conclusions that you guys are having. Very interesting.
Yeah, it's been an interesting journey, and we educate every single day. And that's why it's important to have free accounts where people can use the full-blown power of the product right from our website. So they can actually see that the proof is in the pudding. You know, we're not a company that says, oh, you can do it, and by the way, you know, pay us money and we'll try to build it in isolation. You can actually use our drag and drop tools. We have pre-built applications that pop into WordPress that automatically connect to Bitcoin. So, you know, honesty and being straightforward is our policy, and that's how we like to do things.
Very good. I have some rapid fire questions as we're slowly coming towards the end of the interview to get to know you and your journey as a founder a little bit. Are you ready for those?
Oh, hit me.
So the first thing is, I'm curious, what's the type of content that you as a founder consume on a daily basis? What's your favorite community, blog, whatever, where you go and learn?
Oh, interesting. So I'm not only a founder, but I'm also a computer scientist and a deep engineer. So I like to read a lot of technical documentation. Initially, I get driven to places such as Medium, where I'll I'll read an overview article, and that will guide me then to some links or for me to do more technical research on GitHub, right? So GitHub is the ultimate location where I'll find deep technical information, but I'm always driven either through Reddit, Medium, or Twitter based on different accounts that drives me to ultimately read the deep technical white papers.
What's the last book you read?
The last book I read. Well, the last book I read is actually a challenge I put upon myself, which and it isn't completely read, okay, because it's just very long, and that's the King James Bible.
Wow.
So I'm trying to make my way through the Bible. I've made it all the way through the Old Testament, and man, some of that is very terse, very boring reading at best. And now I'm at just started the New Testament. So there are many books in there, by the way. Yep. many books. But that's the more recent challenge I put upon myself, because I always said, you know what, I'd like to read it from cover to cover. And it's quite a challenge.
Very impressive. What's one single thing your company is focused on the most at the moment?
We're focused on getting the word out of the fact that you don't need to use secondary or tertiary unproven blockchains, okay, with small footprints, and you could do everything that you can imagine using the Bitcoin blockchain. And we're here to empower that and help individuals understand that.
If there would be no boundaries in tech, so everything is possible, what's the one thing you would fix for your role today?
I would immediately replace myself if I could. I think that no founder should be above the company and the technology and the services. And I think that no employee itself should hamper a company or be ultimately needed. So my goal would be to eventually break down all of my functions as we grow and ensure that, you know, my function itself is not needed.
What's the last thing that kept you awake at night about the company?
Oh, there's so many challenges. The things that tend to keep me awake are on the regulatory side of things. You know, how is the industry shifting based on regulations, both in the United States, in New York, in Europe, and how that could possibly affect the company in general? And what steps can we do to ensure that an ever-changing world in a regulated environment will help us and not hinder us?
Very, very interesting. Andrea, I come to the last question. I want to do a little bit of time travel, right? Let's go back to the days of Stony Brook University, right? Now you're heading out of education into your journey in business. What's the one advice you would give yourself for your journey?
The one advice I would give myself. Take a breath and remember that it is a journey. Nothing happens overnight. And I would be much younger at the time. And when you're young, you think that you can accomplish things in a short time span, especially with software. You think you could build software inside of 6 to 8 months that's production ready, and that's not true. You should look at a timeline more like 5 to 7 years and develop that mindset early on.
Very, very insightful. Really appreciate that, Andre, for taking the time with us today to give us an insight into the blockchain of things. If people would be forgetting all that we discussed about the blockchain of things, what's the one thing that they should remember?
They should remember that we're making it super simple to take advantage of the global Bitcoin blockchain. And you don't need to use alternative blockchains that may be insecure.
Thanks a lot for being a guest on Platform Presents.
Thank you so much, Lucas.